Yo people, Makkuro here, and today I have a video explaining how to get the Ultra Settings 2.0 on your Need for Speed World game. This is something that those of you that have some nice PCs out there want to have better graphics, asked for it, and well, here you have. So first we're gonna use the Nvidia Inspector program. Click on that small icon there and you'll get this window open and type Need for Speed, so then scroll to Need for Speed World, and in this green bar you want the NFSW exe to appear. If not, you click on that add exe button and then you go to the NFSW exe directory where that file is. It's in the data folder. If you don't know where it is, if you just went on next on the installation, then it's most likely in C program data, most likely Electronic Arts, EA Core, or maybe just Need for Speed World folder. But I set it to install in the same directory where the launcher installs, so yeah. Now for the ambient compatibility, you set it to demigod. Trust me, there will be a lot of options, but I used all of them. Demigod is the one working for me. Now for anisotropic filtering, you want to use the drivers one, use the user define off, and you set the 16x and on, then you here set it to clamp, the negative LOD bias, and the quality to high quality. This will use its own, use the drivers anisotropic filtering instead of the game one, which just sucks. So yeah. Now for the ambient occlusion usage, you want first to set the enabled so that the ambient occlusion actually be enabled in the game. This is of course only for Nvidia users. You AMD Radeon users have something different there called SSAO or something like that. Now for the one this is enabled, and then you use the performance, quality or high quality. The quality and high quality are pretty much the same, at least for me. But if you have something up to GTX460, then you don't need to go over performance. If you have something like GTX 580 and better, then you want to use quality, high quality settings. You can try which is better for you, but keep in mind you need to restart the game for those things to take effect, so you can just toggle it. That's one. I think that once you get it done, click apply changes, and you can close the Nvidia Inspector. Now we're gonna go for the settings file. Yeah, user settings.xml. This is in the app data folder, directory like that. Just your user computer number. You can go to it easily by pressing the %, data %, enter, and you go to Need for Speed World. You get this folder, you get the Need for Speed World settings, and here you go. Now scroll down and you get to this video config thingy. It may look for you quite shorter with much few options, and you want to set this performance level to 5. Then you want to run the game, and then this file will look like this. This part of the file will look like this. You can also, however, skip that and just use the the user settings file that is included in the files linked in the description, the RAR file. If you want the RAR file, if you don't know how to open RAR file, then just Google RAR, then you'll be that. Now you want to have visual treatment on 1 if you're gonna use the Ultra Settings 2.0, of course. And everything else maxed out, of course. You want the post-processing to be enabled. I also disable motion blur and things like that. The road texture max ani and base texture max ani, you want that at 0 because you're gonna be using the drivers anisotropic filtering, so you don't want those things to collide with each other and possibly cause some worse performance and worse end effect and so on. Now you can set the brightness here and all the other stuff, but the most important thing is the post-processing enable. I said it, some people say you don't need it. I personally prefer to have it since it doesn't have any negative impact on the FPS, but I'm sure that the post-processing, which ENB and SweetFX are doing on the game, will work for sure, no problem. As you can see, I also have rain enabled just for the sake of having it. Maybe the game will bug and provide that rate, who knows. Now, this is with user settings. As always, you can also use just the one I had and be done with it. However, keep in mind that I have one performance setting there, so yeah. Now, the data folder of Need for Speed World, so that's where the NFSW exe is located. Now, if you're running a low spec, so you just high quality without visual treatment, so you just can run on ENB or visual treatment, then you want to use this most wanted style, which gives you a most wanted like feel to the game. This is for those of you that have high settings, not max. Pretty much. Nothing more than that. No. Not everyone has most PC. Now those for you that can run ENB and visual treatment at the same time, you want to use this visual treatment nullify option. But for those that can run use visual treatment, ENB and SweetFX, you have this Ultra 2.0. So yes, you have that. So the settings, use setting.xml that goes there, and then those three files, which you copy there. And here is the part where the pixel aspect ratio. This is something that I use to make the cars wider, because I think that normally the cars are a bit too thin for me. So you can set it to 1 if you just want it default, or now back you copy those files over to the data folder of the Need for Speed World, where the NFSW exe is. Copy those there. It's already set up. This one is set up to be used with SweetFX. Keep that in mind. The other two ones are set up to not use. Also, you have this one line here which forces the game to have a 60 refresh rates. This is important for those that use 1080p or high resolutions, because the game for some reason forces a 50 refresh rate and you can't change it unless you use ENB to do it, or all the programs. But yeah, if you have a 120 or 144 Hz monitor, then you set it to 120 or 144, of course. You just set it to what your monitor refresh rate is, pretty much. Now, with that done, we have the SweetFX. This is the configurator. And yeah, there is also the SweetFX folder in which there are the files meant to be there. Those are all in the RAR file. Now you want those files, just copy all of them and place in the same data folder, just like that, just where the NFSW exe is. Once you've done that, you go to SweetFX config and click add new game. Scroll to the NFSW exe and okay. Of course, since I did it, I don't add it now. Here you have the SMA-A anti-aliasing, which is good if you don't want to use the in-game anti-aliasing, which sucks. It takes a lot of performance and doesn't really do much. So SMA provides smaller impact on FPS, but gives better results, at least in my opinion. You can always downsample the game to get. Pretty much don't need to use any anti-aliasing, but that takes a lot more juice, so yeah. Anyway, like I said, you can turn it off or on. There are also a few settings that you can set. You can set it to custom, so it will use the settings that you define here, or you can set it to low, high, medium, and ultra. Now we have other things. All these filters, I'll have you the settings here. Of course, those are already in the SweetFX settings file. So if you don't want to manually adjust everything like here, you just copy the files and be done with it. It will be already set like this. So don't worry. You may just want to use this program simply to turn on or off the SweetFX, or play with the settings in a more graphical manner instead of editing them in a notepad or whatever you would be using for editing that TXT file or other any file. And all those files are pretty neat. They change the contrast, saturation. Some may gone of that fog-like effect. The blue tint effect is gone thanks to SweetFX, so yeah, it's kind of OP, this program. That's what it is. Windows 8.1 users may have to beware, because like I said, here's you can also in this program set the level of SMA. I use low, because I don't see any difference and I like low FPS impact. But like I said, you can also set it in the file settings, SweetFX settings ini, and yeah, you can pretty much do all of that yourself. Now, in the game, this looks pretty much done with everything, perfect blue and so on. Now, if we switch SweetFX, or rather ENB, yeah, and this is the game without anything. Of course, normally you would have some, on maximum settings, you would have the anti-aliasing, however you wouldn't have the improved shadows which come with the ambient occlusion, and by that I mean that red cone in the left side over the parts, you can see it poses a shadow on that white blanket. Normally it wouldn't be there. There will be a screenshot link in the description so you can see what I mean exactly. You will be able to compare things, because like I say, you can toggle it in game. But as you can see, maximum settings, it's just devoid of colors, everything looks so dimmed out. The blue is more like a blue purple, not a really vibrant blue color, so yeah, it's kind of a shitty effect. Nothing much you can do, but can you? Because now we will turn on the SweetFX, and as you can see, the anti-aliasing turned on, so obviously the edges are now no more jagged. But the blue color, it's actually blue, everything is more vibrant, the blue grayish fog, that tint, completely gone. Everything is more vibrant, everything is better. However, I think this lacks that final polishing, that end effect that would make it just perfect. And that's where ENB comes in, because it does well, this, yeah. Of course, like would say this is just brighter, nothing more happened, but it's the brightness that more shine to it, that's the final effect, it's the final polish on the car. It's like you have the paint, you have the wax, everything, but if you don't polish it out, you don't get that everything just, yeah, you know. With this, in my opinion, you get that. The ENB does that. Of course, if you don't like that over brightness, that some things are too glossy, you know, too shiny and on, you can just turn on the ENB and be done with it. And of course, I lock my FPS to 60 to avoid some stuttering and so on. Now, if you turn off SweetFX, it's just the ENB on. So yeah, that's pretty much like it. Of course, as you can see, the ENB really does only brighten up the screen compared with the max settings, but yeah, pretty much that. But when put with the SweetFX, I think it does really wonders. The game looks just like it should, at least in the garage. But then we can look at some different colors, like the CCX RV8 Beauty, which you have normal pink, where you have signs of a normal red color, which is great. So how about we look at an actual red color on a different CCXR? So why not? And you can see a bloody dark red color, just as it was meant to be. Amazing. You wouldn't. Would you agree? You may not agree. So why not? Let's see a gold paint. A bit of it. On Agra, of course, in garage the gold paint is always a bit brown, yellow like. When you go to the start free roaming, then it's a lot more gold like. But still, you can see the signs of the gold, especially from this side. You got, yeah, there is definitely gold thing running about it. Of course, nighttime and the garage pretty much ruins the gold thing. But you may still say, yes, but what about the pinky red still? I want to know. Well, as you can see, this is pearl paint. You've got red colors on this, and it's pretty much perfect. But you may still not be satisfied. Okay, Veyron. I said Veyron. Yes. As you can see, no pinky effect. How about Aston's? Then still no pinky effect. But if you really don't feel not convinced, then you can simply use the second from the bottom red paint over it, or rather red vinyl, whole shape vinyl, cover the whole car and use red paint second from the bottom, and you will never have any pink on it. But let's see how this rolls on free roam. As you can see, quite a fucking improvement, I would say. You have an actual sky, blue skies. Yes, a natural, realistic blue sky, not oversaturated piece of shit. And then you have a bloody cherry red color in an Aston Martin with a nice orange glow due to the sun and the iridescent paint, and yeah, it's just awesome. And as to the ambient occlusion, this is mostly noticeable on the car itself, and when you look at it from a screenshot perspective, you won't really notice that much difference, even with the quality and high quality settings. But when you're just playing it, when you're just racing, the game feels more immersive. You just get more into the game. It's hard to really to describe, because you may not just notice it for the first time, but the game somehow feels more flat, all, you know, just more like a game and not an actual race. It's hard to explain, but of course some may say, we want blue color, we want that epic blue, and then here you have, with the longest car in the game, you have the biggest amount of paint available, so, and the beta license plate as well, which is blue, so yeah, you have more blue, so yeah, blue everywhere, the blue tinges are there as well, so yeah, more blue. Sorry, the rims are black, but yeah, you have blue paint almost everywhere, so yeah. And this is how it looks in free roam. And if you open the user profile, which just says I don't give a fuck, when it comes to visual treatment, you get even more epic blue color. In other words, it's a win-win situation. You have epic blue free roam while racing, and you have epic blue, even more epic blue, in the user profile screen. Perfect solution for me? Yes. For other people, may not be, but then again, it's all down to personal preferences. I personally just adore the game how it looks now. If I would have to play on max settings or any other settings this game, I would literally kill my eyes. To just, you know, no more suffering for them. Of course, there are few issues here and there with the visual treatment. First was the fog, that blue tint which got rid with SweetFX, but there is a second issue that comes with it, or rather with the visual treatment. Aside from the obvious improvement that it gives to the lighting effects and everything else, pretty much, it's what I call a blue bomb effect, or rather a blue bomb part of the game. So we have a normal game, more like a bit greeny, and then you have a blue bomb, you could say. You didn't notice it? Okay, I understand. That change here is rather long, so you may not notice it immediately. But the faster you go and the more drastic the change is, the easier it is to see. So right now there will be a second, so watch out. Watch out the tarmac is the best way to describe it. Boom. From a blue tarmac you get to a yellow browny tarmac, like from Most Wanted, let's say. That is problem with the visual treatment. It provides spheres in the game where you have blue bomb, like here now. You enter Camden, you have again the blue bomb effect, or you have the Most Wanted like effect. The Camden is pretty much entirely covered in the blue bomb effects. Yeah, but this actually may be a good point for some people, because you can have different lighting without really changing anything in the game. So yeah, provides more customization, I would say, more opportunities for something. So, yeah. And to those that participated in my Facebook contest where to not find a spot, you can say, this is the actual spot that I take in the screenshot. And I'm showing it not only because of that, but also to put your attention on the water, because the water looks epic, and that's where ENB actually comes in, because it changes the reflections a bit. So yeah, and of course the drastic this very smooth, I mean, changes in the daytime. And there's of course some racing had to be done with a car that has a neon on it, so you'll see how it works. Now, visual treatment provides in races two additional features. First is improved Nitro trail, which is more classy like, so that's the lighting effect improvement. And there's of course an idiot who lagged like fucking hell. So yeah, that's that. And then there's of course the blue barriers, which pretty much tell you where to go. They are improved with, well, with the whole visual treatment. They are improved. They are not dimmed out, barely blue thingy. They're actually blue and nice thingy. Yeah, those things. So yeah. Anyway, this Nismo also has a max out catch-up skill mode, which is a bit bugged because it doesn't work from third place, it starts working from fourth position. But as you can see, the acceleration of Nismo is quite fucking PA, and I'm still not used to the handling. And of course, people are just retards with the lags. I don't know, didn't have those problems on Ghostwood, but yeah. Anyway, so that's how the game looks, feels, and everything. As I said, the HBAO, meaning the ambient occlusion effect, it's mainly due to the cars, but it's quite good. Anyway, if you enjoyed, let's hit that like button, because that's all. This is how to get Ultrasonic 6.0. Comment whether you like those settings or did you like the 1.0 version more. Share with your friends if you really enjoyed it. Subscribing to me would also prove very helpful. And that's really all. So thanks for watching. Here Java Heroes Makkuro. See ya!